Well, Robbie Bosco threw 63 touchdown passes during his 2 seasons as BYU starting quarterback. He finished with a 24-3 record, 2 WAC championships, and a national championship. And we welcome Robbie to True Blue. It's good to have you here.
Good to be here, Dave.
A couple of weeks ago, you and your buddies were out at the stadium, the All-American quarterbacks, and it looked like you were having the time of your life.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, from day one when they talked about this, about bringing everybody back and having this great weekend, trying to raise $1 million, it kind of seemed like, are you sure everyone's going to come back? And just weren't sure about that. But as it started getting closer, and then when the day actually came and everybody was here, it was just a lot of fun.
Who's the funniest guy in that group?
I would have to say McMahon probably got the most laughs. I mean, he didn't hold anything back. And you know, talking to the team Friday afternoon and in some of the meetings that we had, he was just a hoot. And we just all had a good time together.
You're kind of a low-key guy. I think your nature, even as a player. And you had a Heisman Trophy winner out there, and you had a couple of Super Bowl champion winners out there, but only one national championship quarterback out there. And that belongs to number 6. How big of a deal is that to you, still to this day?
Well, it's a big deal. Yeah. You know, I love the opportunity I had to play on a great team and to experience that. And it was kind of a thing that sets me apart from the other quarterbacks because they did some things that, you know, no one's going to be able to do. I mean, Ty Detmer, I think, has 94 NCAA records, or had 94. And so it's just fun being a part of a team that had that much success, and to be dubbed national championships is once in a lifetime.
Does it make you cooler than those guys?
Probably.
Maybe just a little bit?
Probably a little bit.
In that 84 season, and I thought back to the 84 season after watching the Air Force game the other day. You had a good offense, you put up great numbers, but you had a defense that helped you win 6 games by 10 points or less. So you didn't just go out there and blow out everybody. For a quarterback to play well and look good at BYU, how important is it for the defense to step it up?
Well, I think our defense back then was ranked 10th in the country, and so they were pretty good.
Yeah.
And there were probably about 4 or 5 games where we could have easily lost, and you know, the ball kind of bounced our ways, and we made some plays and won those games. But you know, there's no question when people say defense wins championships, it's really true. And for us to do what we had to do and do what we did, our defense definitely carried us most of the time.
During your 2 years, our good friend Blaine Fowler was your backup, but there was a starter and there was a backup. This year, there's 2 starters, and we're going into Game 3 against Florida State. As a quarterback, what do you think of the notion of every other series, here comes a new guy?
Well, as a quarterback, I wanted to be the guy.
Right.
And, you know, I didn't want to exchange here and there and go in. When am I going to go in? When am I coming out? And things like that. So I enjoyed being the guy, and I think most quarterbacks do. I think what this does with Riley and Jake, it brings a dimension that's hard for defenses to figure out. Now, they are young, and they are inexperienced, as well as a lot of the team is. So it's not a thing that's just going to be great. I mean, the first week playing at home against Washington, they really gelled. I mean, Jake was throwing the ball around. Riley came in, ran some option. Defense was on their heels. We really played well. And then going on the road, it's a different cat. And it was tough. Playing the wishbone or the option and then playing against their defense made it tough on them, and hopefully they can bounce back this coming up week.
Watching Jake, and we heard from him a few minutes ago, but watching him in the Washington game, he kind of reminded me a lot of you in the sense of a drop-back passer, a little patient in the pocket, and with a rocket arm, as opposed to a guy who's just going to, like maybe a Steve Young, that's just going to make something happen. What is your take on Heaps and where you think he can go over the next 4 years?
Jake, I think he's one of the most talented freshmen I've ever seen. I was amazed at some of the throws that he was making. He threw one down the sidelines. We ended up dropping the pass, but it was as good a throw by a true freshman that I've ever seen. And so Jake, once he just figures out and the game starts slowing down in his mind, right now it's going 100 miles an hour. So once he gets down the coverages and defenses and the offense to where he's comfortable, the game's going to slow down for him. And once he gets to that, he's going to be one of the great ones here. He's got a lot of talent, and in that Washington game, I was really impressed with him.
You didn't lose very often, but you lost a few games. What is it like to be the BYU quarterback after losing a game?
It's hard, and I'm glad it only happened a few times, and it's devastating. I mean, you know, we came here to win football games, and that's the one thing that I loved about playing quarterback here is there's a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks, and I think we apply a lot of pressure to ourselves. We're all winners. We all want to win, and we all want to have that success for the team and for the fans. And so when we lose, it's hard to overcome that. But, you know, there's no let's give them a week off because they lost the game. You got to bounce back and be ready to go on Monday and have a great week of practice. And regardless of who you play, and it's going to be tough this week. It's not going to be easy, but they got to get fired up, ready to play, and have a good showing Saturday.
I think the only time you played in the state of Florida was in the Citrus Bowl against Ohio State your senior year. What is it going to be like for this team to go into Tallahassee and play Florida State? And what would you say are the keys to pulling off an upset?
It's going to be tough. When we played in Florida, I think 3/4 of the fans were Ohio State fans. So it was like a home game for them. Florida State is unbelievably athletic, very fast, very physical. They took it to us last year. So we got to go in there. We can't turn the ball over. We got to be more efficient throwing the ball, and we've got to be able to run the ball. If we can run the ball a little bit against them and then be more efficient throwing, we'll be fine on offense. Defensively, can't give up any big plays and got to get some turnovers. Somehow we got to get the ball back to the offense so they can take it in the end zone.
All right, Robbie, thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Dave.
Good to have you.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome anytime here on True
Thank
Blue.
you.